Let's move on to the embryo bill, embryology bill, or whatever. I'm not going to give it its full title. You can, I'm not. But just before that, I'll read out part of this email from Jill, one of our regular emailers. But just to encourage you, I would like to say a big thank you to Simone and Andrea Williams for the champion work they are doing at CCFON.
Oh, okay, so thank you.
Feather in your cap, but all joking apart, it's an excellent work. I've been particularly grateful for the way that you have spoken out about the dangers within the Mental Capacity Act and now this current Human and Fertilisation and Embryology Bill. May I say that I couldn't help noticing how these two pieces of legislation have worked together. For instance, if it was not for the research provisions in the Mental Capacity Act, then the HFE bill would not be able to allow cells to take them from people for the making of these hybrid embryos and without their consent in certain cases. So basically, you know, she's thanking you for the work you've done. Can you please, for our viewers and for me, can you give us a layman's understanding of if the bill is passed as it was, because we don't know if there are going to be any changes when it comes back, but if the bill as it was at the moment is passed, what would that do in the whole embryology bill?
The complete title of the bill is the Human Fertilisation Embryology Bill, and there's already a law called the Human Fertilisation Embryology Act, and that was passed back in 1990. And this bill will extend research on embryos. It will do it also in a really alarming way, which I don't think 10 years ago, in fact I know I've heard politicians in the House of Lords say, who were around in 1990, say we would never have conceived that 10 years ago we would be debating such things that we're debating in this Act. And main things to talk about are the creation of animal-human hybrid embryos, and what that basically means is an embryo will be created that is part human and part animal. Now the bill allows for half and half, so it could be 50% human, 50% animal. But the one that they're really concentrating on, they say, is 99% animal and 1% human.
But can I just say, if the bill's passed, it won't, if all the bills passed, it wouldn't stop there. In other words, they could go to 50-50, even if they said, you know, we will only do 99-1, but they've got permission to do 50-50 if it's passed as it is now, yes?
Yeah.
Right.
And there's lots of other issues surrounding that. The main ones, for us as Christians, I think, to take away are, this is not God's design. This is man creating something in the image of man. It's not, you know, God's design for us. It's not his plan. It goes against, it crosses species boundaries, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
We're made in God's image.
Yes.
There's something unique about us. Yes. And here we are using our genetic material to mix it, something that is degrading to us as humans. You know, if we actually value life and human life, why are we doing this? It shows where society's at and how we're a nation that just disposes of things that it doesn't think is worth any value. But human life is of great value. It's of great value to God. It's made in his image. Other parts of the bill...
Can I just ask, what do they say is the purpose of such embryos? Okay, whether it's 99-1 or 50-50, what is the purpose that they are creating those embryos for?
They say it's for research because they want to provide cures for diseases they don't have cures for at the moment. The really sad thing is, though, is that we have been testing on embryos for 10 years now, and it hasn't provided any cures for these. Now, these are human embryos that we've been testing on. They haven't provided any cures. Why should embryos that are part human and part animal provide any cures?
Right.
And secondly, there's something called stem cells, adult stem cells. That's basic. This other one is called embryo stem cells, which is what we've been talking about. But there's another one called adult stem cells, which is using cells for research that aren't embryos. They're taken from our bodies, and these can be used for research. They can be made to be like an embryo, and there's been research that's been done, and it's provided cures for up to 80 diseases to date. So we already have something in place that is ethical and that is providing, it's good research, providing cures. Why don't we follow that?
Yes.
Reading between the lines, however, scientists might have been given particular budgets or money to do funding into embryo research, and they're probably quite keen to get that money or to whatever so that they can continue this type of research, even though it isn't fruitful and even though it isn't ethical.
Mm-hmm.
Because we already have an ethical alternative, which is these adult stem cells.
Mm.
And it's... Mm-hmm.
Let me come back. We'll take a phone call. I'll come back and I want to ask you something more on that in a minute. But Gladys from Luton. Hi, Gladys.
Hiya.
What can we do for you?
Yes, I was very interested hearing your discussion today.
Right.
And I just wanted to find out if indeed all these mixtures of beings are being done, what is going to happen to them afterwards?
Good question. I will ask my expert.
At the moment, the bill says that they will be disposed of in 14 days. The problem with legislation is, though, is once you've opened the door, the horse is bolted.
Right.
And we have seen this with abortion. Back in 1967, abortion was permitted. They thought they'd put down strict guidelines so that it wouldn't become what it is today, which is basically abortion on demand. As I said before, back in 1990, they were talking about embryology research. Never did they think that it would lead to animal-human embryo research, but it had.
Mm.
In this bill, it's so complicated because of the areas that it's covering. It says that they will not permit an embryo that is animal and human to be placed in a woman or an animal.
Right.
However, what's going to happen in the future?
Once it's created.
It's a permissive piece of legislation.
And they're saying at the moment in the bill that after 14 days they will destroy that embryo. They will do all the testing up to 14 days. Destroy. But as you say, we have no guarantees that once it's been created that it won't be used. That's what the bill is saying at the moment, Gladys.
Thank you.
Okay. Bless you. Thanks for your call.
Bye.
The question I had from what you just said before, and then we can move on to other aspects of it, is you said already we have a good, ethical adult stem cell in place where diseases have been cured, or cures for diseases have been found as a result of that. They have been doing human embryos for how many years?
10 years. Since 1990 actually, so it's more than that.
Yeah, okay. And not one disease, not one answer to any disease has been found.
Yeah.
Now, with those facts put before them, why are they now saying we want to add animals to this? Why not carry on with what they've got?
Yeah.
What's the whole raison d'etre behind this that they're saying?
They're running out of female eggs.
Right.
They're wanting to use animal eggs instead because they're easier to harvest.
Okay. So that is the simple reason that they want to use animal eggs. And yet, do they accept the fact that there hasn't been one cure from the disease? That they don't accept that.
No. I spoke to a scientist. We were out and doing a particular demonstration, and there was other people there who were doing, trying to promote these animal-human hybrid embryos and the fact they're going to produce cures. And they had children out in wheelchairs saying, we're going to provide a cure for this child. And I spoke to one of the scientists, and he gave various arguments of, X many years isn't that long in science. We've got to keep on at it and see if we can. This is a resource that we don't want to lose, animal-human hybrid embryos. So it might provide something, so we're going to plod on with it. Yeah. Completely throwing aside any ethical, arguments. And
so upwards to 18 years from 1990, depends on when it started, they're still saying we're going to do it, and now we want to bring in animal eggs and move across a whole divide. As you say, right back at the beginning, God created man in his own image, and now we want to bring in a hybrid that could or could not. Well, Frankenstein monster comes to mind, doesn't it?